Good afternoon, race fans. Here we go. So a week and a day later, let's have a look at my portfolio that's going on here. So we're trading 212, and as I said in the first two videos, if you want to check those out, then I'll put a link in the description below if you fancy having a go. And I'm not recommending it in any way, shape or form, but if you fancy having a go at trading, try trading 212. It's not sponsored by it, but if you go through the link, then you and I get a free share. That's something for nothing. So here we go. So, and by no means is this any advice whatsoever, because as the title suggests, I am haphazard. I do things really the complete opposite way of how I should do, and by no means am I recommending you do this. But if you do and you want to dabble, then here we go. So my portfolio isn't looking as rosy as it should be, and my Mac keeps bleeping, I don't know why. Yeah, so it's not looking as rosy as it should be, and I think one of the reasons why this is the fact that the markets took a downturn this week. Now, so here there's not a lot that's actually happened in my portfolio this week, apart from I did move on my shares in Amazon because they stayed fairly static and then they increased quite a bit. I wonder if I can see my trading history anywhere. And I did it did end up going up by about 6 or 7%. I thought actually for Amazon, looking at the chart, it was about as high as I could probably expect it to go. So let's have a look at the history. So 19th of June, today is the 26th, so there's about a week on where I bought Modena, and I explained in my second video, the last video, why I bought shares in Modena, and I'll come back to that. So I decided to out of hours trade for Amazon and sell it off because it was at a decent figure. I got cold feet and canned that, and then I decided to do it anyway. And yeah, so basically my result there was the fact that it had gone up about 6% over the time that I'd had it, and on the 23rd I was up £1.44, which isn't bad because I think I invested about 20 odd so pounds in it. So 6% gained. I thought that's great. Now I was a bit late to the in fact, if I go in my history there, you can actually see the orders that I got. Okay, so I sold at 22.93, made the £1.44, so it's just over £20 that I had in that. So going back to my portfolio, it is down massively. I think the last video was at about around about 260, so it's dropped a lot, but then the whole market has dropped. And am I worried about that? No, I'm not. Why? Because at the end of the day, you only lose money when you sell your stocks and your shares. So it's a bit like a house that's in negative equity. You're not really losing money until you sell it. So right now I'm quite happy. If the market's doing that, it's doing it for everyone. And well, you can see even there, you know, looking at, we're on a day, even just today, you can see what's happened. But in the last week, you can see where I sold my Amazon shares there, and then I made a little purchase. But you can see that it's a bit, you know, a bit up and down, but it's eroding away. And then today it's just sunk massively. But I don't mind too much about that. What's actually happened? Well, we'll come back to Archimoto, but Aston Martin, I really should have bailed out when they were absolutely at their peak, somewhere around about here Monday, and I did think about it as well, and I really should have done it, but I didn't because I'm stupid. So they're 71 points, and now they're down about 52, so they've lost 25% of their value. And there we go, my portfolio with those, I was up around about £3 or £4. Now I'm minus 7, 8, nearly 8, but I will stay in those and hopefully they will recover. There's no point selling it now and making a loss, and even if it goes down a bit more, it really doesn't matter. So although I was at a point, I think I mentioned in my last video, that I was going to sell those off, I did Amazon instead and really should have shifted on the Aston Martin, but there you go, that's life. AstraZeneca, they've been a bit up and down this week, as you can see. So this week they were at real high at the beginning at there we go, 8,000 points, 8,500 points, sunk to quite a low, and then back up to somewhere near. And again, this is a long-term stock for me because, as I mentioned in the last video, check it out on my channel if you want to, my playlist. But yeah, I bought into these guys because they are the closest company in the world to getting a vaccine. I couldn't remember the term vaccine. To creating a vaccine and having it fully tested. They're the closest in the world to having a vaccine signed off for coronavirus. COVID-19. So they're a bit of a long-term grower. My Carnival shares, there we go. This is where I was quite proud of these because they'd made such an enormous gain. If you can check out when I bought in probably about 3 months ago, then they really did spike up in value, and I was up loads with these guys, and I even bought more into it. Now I'm still up about £9, but yeah, in the 3 months I was up at around about 30 at one point. So again, my in fact Carnival was my ultra long term aim. Now actually I think these shares dropped in the last week because there was some news, and I think there we go, around about Tuesday you can see it just drops off a cliff. And again, it's just reaction. The markets are just reacting to news. It's like everybody, it's like us on the media saying something and us reacting to it fearfully. You know, around about here you can see Tuesday, they took Tuesday, Wednesday, a massive drop, an enormous drop. Well, numbers so, but basically, and off they went. And that was because the news came out that they're selling off 4 or 6 ships, and they're, you know, obviously they're in a bit of hot water. Yeah, they're just they're in a bit of trouble, but they're refinancing a bit, and they're sold off, I think, about 4 of their cruise liners. Now, if you think back to episode 1 when I bought into these guys, or even way back before episode 1 when I bought into these guys, it's because they had the assets and the ships being assets, to ride this out. And if it means they sell off a few to keep afloat, I'm full of puns, I'll tell you today. If it means that they sell a few to keep afloat, then that's great. If it means they remortgage a few or do whatever they do to stay afloat, then they do. It means that they won't sink. Oh my God, the puns just keep coming. So that's essentially why I bought into Carnival and why I'll stay in there, because, but you can see the rest of the market, they just freaked out because they've announced a bit of bad news, or a bit of selling off. So everyone jumped ship. Oh my word, it's never ending. The humour is amazing. So yeah, all for laughs. So essentially these are proper long term. I'm going to stay in there until they go up to this value, which, you know, I still think it's probably about 2 years away. And I'll probably continue to buy into them because I do have a lot of faith that they'll ride it out on the crest of a wave. Oh, ba-bum, that's the last one for Carnival. Editas, now these are grower. I was quite pleased by this. This is one of my TikTok, in fact, a lot of these are my TikTok stocks. TikTok advice on Editas that they were working on a genome cure for inherent blindness. I feel rough today. So yeah, and to be honest, I've not heard any more news from them, but when I bought in, you know, their shares have gone up by 20%, or 19%, with quite a modest, again, it's about £20 that I put into them, quite a modest £4.40 return. That's not modest, actually, that's quite a bit. So, you know, I could have looked at that spike there, and it was, you know, it's pretty high, a pretty nice spike up to there. Let me just try and sort this out. You know, that all-time high, but no, it's still growing. The upward trend over 3 months is that, and I haven't heard any news. They've not come out with a cure yet, so I still think that's a grower. So I'm staying there. Moderna, if you go back to the second video, I bought into Moderna because they are the other company that are really close to a vaccine for COVID-19. I bought into these, and they're displaying signs a little bit like Editas and AstraZeneca did initially, where you buy into those and they just rumble along a couple of % loss. This has gone a little bit more because the whole market trend has dropped. So I'll bear that in mind. In fact, yes, they're still rumbling along. The whole market's dropped, where most of these stocks have actually gone with it, even the ones that are in the green. So it is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to stick in with those guys and see what happens at the end of the day. Any company that is working on a vaccine for COVID-19, I still think is going to be worth quite a bit. I'm more stuck to AstraZeneca because they had nearly $600 million worth of orders from European countries for the vaccine. So they are my kind of stick, and Moderna are kind of just, you know, a earshot here. And then Visa, at the end of the day, who's going to profit from all this but credit card companies? And Visa's actually performing really strongly at the moment, with a 5% gain. So that essentially is my portfolio. It's down about £30, with my return being only £8 at the moment at £3.65, at 3.6%. But I'm quite happy with that because I know that the whole thing shifted down, and I believe the whole market will pick up again. A lot of people are talking about a market crash, but at the end of the day, I really haven't got enough invested in this to actually worry about it. It's not as if I'm wiping off 30 grand of value off of my portfolio at each time, so I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So there you go. I will update you in a week's time to see if there's anything else. I haven't heard a great deal of other things that, you know, sort of stocks that have come up that I might buy into. Arkimoto. Sorry, Arkimoto. Here we go. This is one thing I have purchased. I was late to the game with this, and it annoys me, and I annoy me, because right back at, back at the week, in fact, let's go to the month. I heard about Arkimoto last week. So around about here, when shares were about $3 a share. In fact, they were about $2.50 a share, 2.7. Now, when I heard about these guys, they're an electric vehicle company. They make FUV. I think it's fun utility vehicles. But the main point here is they make electric fun utility vehicles, FUV, which is okay, and they're quite funky. They've been going for quite a long time. But the real, and this, again, it was a TikTok stock. The real thing here was that they had just taken on board or hired or contracted somebody, Sandy, who is a world-renowned designer, never heard of him, to come in and actually really give them a boost at designing their next vehicle. Now, if I bought in there, I'd be looking a lot better, whereas their stock's gone up by about 50 or 60% since then. I can't go but quite back to $2.31, $2.60. It's gone up 88% since the news broke, and I would have sort of ridden that in and probably made about 60% gain. Instead, I bought in this week. I've only got a 0.4. Is that right? Return. Let's have a look. Yeah, okay. Yesterday it was darn sight better because the whole thing's dropped today. In fact, let's go to today. There you go. You look at that spike. It's just dropped actually in the last part of half an hour. But I was actually not doing too badly. They'd picked up quite a lot, and I was, you know, still in the green. But yeah, Arkimoto had shot up, and then I bought in far too late. And I'm hoping, I bought in hoping to carry on that up, but as the market's taken a bit of a tumble, yeah, I'm a bit of a journeyman with that one. So we'll see what happens. But that's one of my lessons learned. When I learned the news, I should have bought into it, but I was a bit stuck because I didn't have any money spare. I had to get rid of Amazon to do that. But yeah, there we go. You live and you learn. I doubted it. I shouldn't have done. I should have bought in. But that doesn't mean that every tip is going to be golden. So there you go. Lesson learned. I don't quite know what lesson I have learned there, because I could end up doing that with a stock that might just junk. But there we go. So that's my portfolio this week. I will update you guys next week, hopefully next Wednesday, Thursday, to see how it's performed. And like I said, bearing in mind the market's gone a bit south, so has my portfolio. There you go. Such is life. There you go. So I'm the Haphazard Investor. More luck than judgment. Please like and subscribe the video. You know it makes sense. And yeah, if you want to if you've got any money spare at the end of the day, only use what you can afford to lose. Then yeah, click on my link below for the Trading 212 app. Make yourself an account. We both get a free share. Job's a good one. Thanks for watching. I shall update you later. Let's hope it's looking a bit better. Tiny little update, folks. Sat here, just recorded my last video about an hour ago, and saw order executed. And it turns out that for the first time ever, somebody has actually used my link on 212, created themselves an account. I'm assuming they've got a free share, as have I. First time it's ever happened. Caught me out of the blue. Super pleased. Thank you to whoever did that. It means I've got a free National Grid share worth £9.69, and I don't know what they got, but thank you so much. Awesome.